Hi everyone, this is my needs assessment from my placement from this school year. And just a little reminder, I know we heard this 1,001 times, but I interned at Hawthorne Elementary School, specifically as part of the Guidance Outreach Program, providing counseling for all students in the school if they sign up for it. Now, the resources that the students at Hawthorne School have available to them is the Guidance Outreach Program, which is made up of the school social worker, who is my supervisor, and then the interns that work there, including myself. And the interns are really the ones that run this Guidance Outreach Program. They're the ones that provide the counseling, and my supervisor is the one we go to if we have questions. Is just basically the head of the team. And the other resource that the students have access to is the Child Study Team, which is made up of the school social worker, who is also a case manager, and then another case manager. So the gap that I found at my internship is the disconnect with the district level mission, which prides itself on the communication between all aspects of the school. And so specifically, there is a disconnect that I found in communication between the Child Study Team and the Guidance Outreach Program. So all three of us should be working together, but instead, as my little graphics explain, there is definitely a gap leading to our coordination. So we aren't working together as a whole team, but instead we're working as separate entities. And this is especially a problem since the case managers and the school psychologists have access to all the student files and the information on their 504s or any other things that they would have to get taken out of class for or services they receive. That's all that information is what they have access to. Us as the interns in the Guidance Outreach Program, we don't have access to that information. So if we need to find out something about a kid that we're going to start working with, we need to hunt down one of the two people in the child study team, and they're not the easiest people to get in contact all the time. So it leads to a big gap and not a lot of communication. We end up finding out that we're working with the same kids, and we had no idea that we were both seeing them, which can obviously cause a number of problems, especially if a parent comes and reaches out to us and we have no idea what they're talking about when they tell us they're also meeting with the school psychologist. So, to address this gap, I came up with an intervention. And that intervention would be the Child Study Team and the Guidance Outreach Program acting as working parts in the same system instead of, as I said before, working as separate entities within the school. So, as a school social worker, they are often a part of the Child Study Team, however, they're not at Hawthorne School. I believe that introducing the Guidance Outreach Program as part of the Child Study Team would enable a stronger connection between these members, forcing them to work as a team and overall benefiting the clients that we serve. Now, in order to address my intervention, I had to follow through with the needs assessment, which the first part of that was to get in contact with the stakeholders. One stakeholder that I chose to interview was the school social worker. As I mentioned, that's my supervisor and the head of the Guidance Outreach Program. The other stakeholder that I got in contact to was the school psychologist, who is a member of the Child Study Team. The next step in this process was conducting the actual interviews and discussing the gap. So I asked questions about how they felt about the relationship between the Child Study Team and the Guidance Outreach Program, if they even believed there was a gap in the communication to begin with, which they agreed there was. We talked about the strengths, we talked about the weaknesses, potential problems, how might we solve this issue, and things like that. And the next step in this process was to do my SWOT analysis. Now, before I get into the SWOT analysis that I did, I'd like to first talk about the social work values that I thought my intervention would address. And one of those was the value of service, which is the social worker's primary goal to help people in need and address social problems. So, the students at this school both have the Guidance Outreach Program and the Child Study Team to help address their problems and advocate for the clients that we have. They're all very knowledgeable, they have the values and skill sets, and combined together would just make this an overall better service for the clients. When working separately, we miss the opportunity to compare notes and share information about our clients, and maybe risk seeing something another member may see more clearly. So combining the two teams together would definitely help strengthen the service that we provide to our clients. The other value that I believe this would address is the importance of human relationships, which is social workers recognize the central importance of human relationships. When thinking of this gap, it almost seems contradictory that one of our values is the importance of relationships, and yet our relationship with the child study team is so completely flawed and barely existent at this moment in time. So I think combining the teams and really strengthen the relationship between the two programs definitely would maximize communication, and it would help promote, restore, maintain, and enhance the well-being of our clients. In other words, multiple brains working together is better than one. And lastly, I believe it would address the issue of integrity, which is the social workers behave in a trustworthy manner. This value also has to do with working responsibly, which at the moment it almost seems irresponsible that us in the Guidance Outreach Program are working with clients when we don't know everything about them at the moment. We work with these students before we get in contact with the child study team member to find out if they have 504s or if they receive other services, and things like that. And so it's almost seems irresponsible of us. And so I believe that fixing the gap in our communication would definitely strengthen the integrity of our program. And last but not least is my SWOT analysis. So the strengths that I found would be the knowledge and skills possessed by both teams. So the Guidance Outreach Program really has the ability to focus on advancing the social skills of students, to not only make them academically competent, but socially competent as well, which is definitely important. And the Child Study Team has the ability to work closely with the students who have existing diagnoses. They can make referrals in order to get these students diagnosed. They work with the special education students, and they just have the overall knowledge and experience needed to benefit the clients. Now, the weakness that I found was the location of our offices. So the Guidance Outreach Counseling Office and the Child Study Team office are pretty much on opposite sides of the building, which would definitely prevent people from seeing us as a whole team, and it might even affect the way we communicate because we're not working in the same office as each other. Now, one of the opportunities that I found is enhancing our credibility of the Guidance Outreach Program. So at the moment, sometimes when an intern and part of the Guidance Outreach Program attempts to take a student out of class for their counseling session, the students' teachers give us a hard time sometimes. Whereas if a member of the Child Study Team needs to take a student out of class, there's no problem with it. And so I believe making us Child Study Team members would help address that problem and really make people realize that we're an important asset to this school And then a threat that I found is stigma, stigma, stigma. So because the child study team works so closely with students who have disabilities or refer students to figure out if they have a learning disability or things like that, the parents might be less likely to sign their kids up for the guidance outreach counseling because they might think we're trying to refer them to receive special services when really we're just trying to make sure they are socially competent and really that their mental health is just in order. So I believe my intervention is definitely feasible. It might take some time for the guidance outreach program to actually be recognized as a member of the child study team, but it's a really quick and easy intervention to put in place just to combine the two teams together. And teachers and parents can be informed in the beginning of the school year that yes, they are a part of the child study team and they are to be recognized as so, but that it's still the same program that the school has always had.